Rise and grind. Happy Monday. How to draft the right QB for fantasy football 2025. And stay to the end because I'm going to give you the ace QB to draft and the sleeper QB you got to have on your roster for fantasy football 2025. Most people get the quarterback thing wrong, and that could be absolutely catastrophic to your fantasy football team any year, okay? So this year, I'm going to get it right. We're talking full strategy here for quarterbacks. People keep asking, do a quarterback episode, no problem. Let's get it done. Happy Monday, everybody. Let's dive into it. I start off with the latest news and notes. Breaking Brad is not here. It's going to be a fun week. We got Tim the Bald Guy coming on. We got Jimmy the Maverick coming on this week. It's going to be fun. Fantasy football is in full force, so make sure you guys do subscribe, hit the thumbs up. It is fantasy football season full force, and this is the only channel giving you the truth to sports and actually helping you and giving you advice that's going to actually help you win. So subscribe, hit the thumbs up. This is the place to be, all right? And also, grab the 68-round draft. So if you've not got it, secure the solution, secure the championship. It'll put you light years ahead of the sheep, all right? Let's dive into this. How to draft the right QB. Most people get it wrong, all right? Before we do that even, I got to get some news here out of the way worth mentioning. We now have breaking news. How was that? How was my Brad impression? Was it good? Brad's not here, so I had to cover that. We now have breaking news. I hang out with the guy so much, I think I've got it down right, okay? So in breaking news here, we got Alex Pierce ready to sign a contract, or waiting on a contract. Apparently he's going to play the season out, and hopefully something happens. Alec Pierce, not that excited, but that shows that there could be some hunger there for him, which could hurt other guys on that team like Downs and Pittman, because Pierce could be the hungriest. I'm more into Tyler Warren, I think, this year. That high draft capital in him excites me more, but Alec Pierce, not a guy I'm targeting at all. Contract hungry, okay? Juwan Jennings is dealing with a calf injury, was unable to finish practice on July 27th. That's not good for Jennings, not good for the Steelers. For the 49ers. This team is ridden with injuries. They just can't stop getting hurt. That being said, with the injuries, Ayuk banged up, this guy banged up, the entire team being banged up all the time, Ricky Pearsall, I think he was dealing with a minor hamstring, but I think he's good to go. Pearsall value definitely takes a spike knowing about Juwan Jennings' calf minor injury here, unable to finish practice. It's not a good sign, especially here in training camp, okay? So Juwan Jennings, if you're considering drafting him, be aware of this, okay? Rashid Shaheed says he wants to add some muscle this year. Apparently last year he was walking around 180. He wants to bump it up to 190, but while maintaining his speed. We know he's a speedster. He doesn't want to lose his speed, but he wants to put on some muscle mass. Good things, right? Good things. He wants to improve, wants to get stronger. Always a good sign out of my wide receivers if I want to consider drafting them for fantasy, that they are bettering themselves, okay? Dallas signs Jake Ferguson to a 4-year, $52 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. The guy was 26, coming up to his last year of his contract. He gets extended. Hopefully we see some more production out of him this year. Not the greatest year last year. A big part of that is injuries to Dak Prescott. Dak's got to stay healthy and feed him. Although with the addition of Pickens, that could help him or hurt him. It's going to be interesting. Is Pickens going to get more volume, or is it going to open things up more for Ferguson to give him more volume? Going to be interesting to see how that distribution goes, but Dak has to stay healthy to feed these guys, all right? So congrats, Jake Ferguson, on your 4-year, $52 million. That's a lot of money, okay? Travis Hunter, over 4 practices, through 4 practices, I should say, had 83 snaps, 36 on offense, 47 on defense. This guy's getting it done, both sides of the ball. It'll be interesting to see how much they're going to use him offensively and how that's going to impact Brian Thomas Jr., who's very expensive in fantasy football, first-round draft pick. How is Travis Hunter going to get integrated? Is he going to be the wide receiver 1? I don't know. It's hard to gauge. I just know that I loved Brian Thomas last year in the 9th round, because I really don't trust Trevor Lawrence, but he was such a great value. Now I got to pay a first-round pick for him, and then I got to contend with Travis Hunter. I'm fading both. I may consider drafting Travis Hunter in the 5th round if I want the value in that offensive, situation. But Travis Hunter, great talent. When I look at videos side by side, with him and Brian Thomas, he looks better, man. He looks faster. He looks quicker. I don't know, man. Could steal that wide receiver 1 job. Be aware, okay? And then also a couple things here I want to mention here. One more thing, actually, is Stafford dealing with a back soreness week to week. Something to monitor and be aware of. Stafford, week to week with back soreness. Okay, so let's get to this episode here. That's it for news here. Unless something breaks between the time I record this and the time I distribute it for you guys in the morning, nothing really worth mentioning here. A bunch of people are sending me videos of Bijan saying it's Bijan, not Bijan, right? Because people call him Bijan. I was telling you that's wrong. And he's saying Bijan's wrong. It's Bijan, not Bijan, and not Bijan. Okay? Everyone keeps sending me that video. I don't care. I'm still going to call him Bijan. All right? Bijan it is. Bijan it stays. I told you everyone was... I was right, though. I was half right. Because I was telling everybody... Actually, I'm fully right because it's Bijan. B-I-J-N. Like Bison, bi-weekly, Jan is ran. But, as in ran. But everyone was pronouncing it wrong. I was right. He even said Bijan is wrong. It's Bijan. Okay? Anyways, let's get to this episode, all right? How to draft the right QB. Most people get this wrong. What's the strategy? Listen, I'm going to make this very simple for you. And I see people trying to get cute and try different tactics with quarterback or get quarterbacks that are unproven. Last year, everyone was drafting, and I told you, please don't do this. Anthony Richardson was a top 4 quarterback. I'm like, don't do it. Here's a quick tip that's going to help you with your quarterback draft strategy or when you're looking at top quarterbacks. Draft a quarterback that's proven, that can get it done, that throws the ball a lot, right? Now, here's the kind of the caveat here. If you want that rushing upside quarterback, you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay for a Josh Allen early. You're going to have to pay for Lamar Jackson early, who I think is going to decline. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, unheard of. It just won't happen again for a guy like Lamar Jackson. You're going to have to pay for a Jalen Hurts, who's now got the tush push still implemented. If you want an ace quarterback, which I'm doing in a lot of leagues, you got to pay. And here's a cool thing, right? I don't mind going Josh Allen in the first 3 picks, getting him even in the second round. If he falls to 3, that's amazing. He fell to round 3 in my big money league. I was like all over that because the other options there kind of suck. We talk about like guys like T. Higgins coming off round 2 to 3, or there's just other receivers I don't even want in that area. So Josh Allen, it's like guaranteed 340, 350 points. I'm like, I'm all over that. Sign me up for Josh Allen early, okay? And he's one of the safer quarterbacks I like out of the rushing quarterbacks. I feel the most warm and fuzzy out of him. Again, I'm talking about Lamar Jackson. I love him, love the talent, love the work ethic, although that pinnacle year, man, was astronomical. It was unlike Lamar Jackson to throw such a perfect season. It was amazing. And I think a big part of that is Derrick Henry with his just being there and that presence being there took off some pressure from him and he was just able to just navigate that offense better. So anyways, that's not here nor there. But if you do want an ace quarterback, I recommend it. And Josh Allen's the guy, okay? Now, if you want to fade that, and again, stay to the end, I'm going to give you a sleeper and the quarterback I'm going with. But I already just told you one, right? The ace quarterback that I like is Josh Allen. I'll tell you the sleeper later. But when you are looking at those rushing quarterbacks, make a decision. Do you want it or not? If you don't, then you got to start taking a look at some other guys that are later, right? And Burrow counts as one of those top quarterbacks, those ace quarterbacks, but you're going to lack that rushing upside. But he's going to throw for a lot of touchdowns if he stays healthy, right? So what else do you do if you want to pass up on that? Well, I really like Bo Nix, but Bo Nix is kind of that mid-range quarterback. You're still paying, but you're not paying Josh Allen price tag. I like Bo Nix. Now, I just saw a quote with Bo Nix just come out where he said, and again, I could be quoting it completely wrong, but he wants to be the best player in the league or one of the best players. And that's the work ethic I love. I love that when players come out with confidence. That is something I love when I'm looking at drafting any player, okay? Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. I love confidence. I love people that believe in themselves and aren't afraid to say, I'm the best or I want to be the best. That's what you want on your team. So Bo Nix, I really believe, will step up this year. They added Pat Bryant, which I think is great. Cortland Sutton looking good. I think he's looking to get a bigger contract. They improved that offense, getting, RJ Harvey's a nice addition. I like this offense, man. They look good. I'm really excited. The Broncos, I'll be watching a lot of games. I'll watch a lot of Raiders games as well. But I like Bo Nix kind of as that mid-range if you miss out on some of these quarterbacks. I like him. I think Justin Herbert's really going to step up this year. It just gets a little dicey when people start talking about Kyler Murray. Although I do like Marvin Harrison Jr., I still don't trust guys like Kyler Murray. Years to wow us, we're not wowed. Then, your Trevor Lawrences of the world. Do you trust those guys? I have my question marks about those guys as well. And then Dak Prescott. This guy has potential to be a top 5 quarterback, but he's shown me over the years that he gets hurt. So I kind of don't feel warm and fuzzy with him. But I do like Herbert. I like him stepping up this year for sure. I like the weapons they added there. I think Quentin Johnston's looking good in training camp. They added Omari and Hampton. Now you can say, well, it's a rush first team. I still think they're going to throw the ball. I really do. I think Herbert's a safe play, especially in around 7, 8, 9, give or take, wherever, depending on the people in your league. I think he's a safe play. But whenever you are looking at a quarterback, you want to back him up. So here's a tip as well. In a 2-quarterback league or a super flex, you always want to have 3 quarterbacks. In a 1-quarterback league, you always want 2 quarterbacks. Why? You always want to hedge your bets. You want to play it safe. You want to have an upside quarterback in the background. I remember the year where Pat Mahomes broke out. He was my backup quarterback, which I got after the 10th round. I saw the talent, saw the upside. He was my backup too. I don't even know who my quarterback was that year as my starter. I can't even remember right now. But I don't know if it was like Andrew Luck or, no, Andrew Luck probably retired back. Anyway, long story short, I had an ace quarterback and I backed him up with Pat Mahomes. This is, in his year he broke out. So who is the breakout player this year, and who should you draft to be your anchor? Now, again, it varies. If I go Bo Nix, I'm more inclined to go almost double up on my quarterbacks if I can and get a Herbert later. That way I feel more warm and fuzzy. And it, again, depends best ball. If it's redraft, I maybe wait a little bit longer. I get Bo Nix and I wait longer. But I just feel safer as Allen as my ace. Okay, so you get Allen as your ace. Then what do? You could get Herbert as a backup. It might, if you feel it's too early, then you can start waiting. So who is the upside sleeper that I like this year that you could roll the dice on? Anchoring, Allen, I feel safe every week. Making sure also you go get that backup and make sure they're not on the same bye week. Be careful of that. Okay, be careful they're not on the same bye week, because that could really suck. Because the point of getting a backup is to cover your bye week's potential injury or potential lack of performance, or just play best matchup, right? So to me, a sleeper that I'm looking at that I think everyone's sleeping on is Cam Ward. And I say, well, Joe, I'm not excited about Cam Ward. He's rookie, this and that. But, if you look at a guy like Daniels last year, he was a value. And he broke out. Now he has a little more rushing upside than Cam Ward. But one thing that I always I don't fear a lot, but one thing that I always get concerned about when I look at a rookie quarterback is, efficiency. Is he going to be accurate, or is he going to throw a lot of interceptions? Because I assume that a rookie quarterback's got to come in, get integrated, feel the speed of the NFL, and get accustomed to it. And with that, there's going to be a lot of interceptions. But Cam Ward is known as a relatively solid and consistent quarterback. I've been watching training camp with this guy. He's threading the needle. So I just saw a pass into triple coverage. He's throwing deep balls to Calvin Ridley, and him and Calvin are connecting. It's exciting, man. And the thing is, you're getting an amazing value. He's what, like QB 27? He's just simply being slept on because he's a rookie. That's it, man. This guy starts tearing it up, having 3 or 4 fantasy games that are awesome. He's a waiver wire wonder, and he's a top 10 quarterback next year with ease, with absolute ease, right? So he's a guy that I look at later. I think Geno Smith is going to be a good sleeper as well. Not somebody I feel warm and fuzzy to make as my starter, but more as that backup. And then you got your other guys down there like Trevor Lawrence, maybe a Sam Darnold. I'm not really a Sam Darnold advocate, or I don't really trust that guy too much, but there could be something there. So what I do, based on this year, I go top heavy running back, and if I can slip in Josh Allen in the first 4 picks, I do that. That way I've got quarterback done. And then I could steal Cam Ward later or Geno Smith as a backup, because these guys are in great situations with good wide receivers and good offensive lines. They've made some improvements on these offenses. So Geno Smith is not a fan I'm a fan of. I think Cam Ward has more upside, more youth, more excitement. Definitely Cam Ward over Geno Smith. But in best ball, I try to get 3 quarterbacks, and I don't think a Josh Allen, Cam Ward, Geno Smith stack is not so bad, because you get their receivers for value. You get Pat Bryant as a best ball stack with Bo Nix. You get Dante Thornton, who's been looking good in training camp. That's why I got a Raiders hat, because Thornton was on my podcast. I'm a big Genty fan, right? So Let's wrap this up here, okay? What do you do with quarterback? Anchor with an ace rushing quarterback if you feel. Do your research. Maybe you like Hurts more. Maybe you like Lamar Jackson more. Maybe you believe me and you like Josh Allen. You feel safer. Whoever you feel safer with. Maybe you like Burrow, right? Get the ace and then get a good backup later. And the guy that I like is Cam Ward. There's other sleepers I like, all laid out in the 68-round drafts, which on the quarterbacks I like, when to grab them, there's all that stuff. It's all laid out. So you have an ironclad roster. But you always want to have the belt and suspenders backup plan for a backup plan. That's how you're going to win your league. That's how you solve quarterback. Quarterback doesn't have to be complicated, but don't take risks. Don't make Kyler Murray your starter. I don't feel warm and fuzzy with that. Even Jaden Daniels, he's looking good and amazing in training camp. I think he takes a step up this year. They improve things around him. But what if he has a sophomore slump? I don't know. Does CJ Stroud bounce back? Right? Maybe he does. I think his weapons are good. I think he had a sophomore slump. Maybe he bounces back. So there is other quarterbacks that could bounce back that are just immense value based on last year. Copy and paste, copy and paste. One Burrow injury, it's game over, right? Burrow's done. That's going to affect a lot of people. Guys like Jamar Chase and stuff like that. I'm not a Burrow guy. I don't trust the guy. His injuries in the past bother me. I don't know what it is about that guy. I just don't trust him. I feel more warm and fuzzy with a Josh Allen, maybe even a Jalen Hurts if I'm going earlier on. But definitely Lamar Jackson decline this year is what I'm feeling. But let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? Who are you drafting? Who's that quarterback you trust? Do you believe Cam Ward could be a good backup sleeper with some upside? I think he's special talent. I think there's something there, and I think he's completely being slept on, okay? If you want all my sleepers, all my breakouts, the full strategy, grab 69. I've linked it below. Join the Frontlines Patreon group below. I do direct coaching as well. Subscribe, thumbs up, drop a comment where you're from, how you guys doing, everything down below, and I'll keep the content rolling for you daily, all right? Subscribe, thumbs up, and I got some big episodes coming this week. Jimmy, Connor's going to be on the show as well. We got Breaking Brad. Everyone's coming back on the show. Got Tim the Bald guy. It's going to be a fun week. Subscribe, thumbs up. Fantasy football is in full force. I appreciate you being here, and have yourself a great day. I'll keep the content rolling. Turn on the bell.